you think veterans should be ashamed to seek out benefits?
Senator, I think
Yes or
we
no?
should be ashamed as a nation of the amount of veterans that commit
You think
suicide
veterans
because they hit a brick
should be
wall.
ashamed
They commit suicide because
This
they
is
hit
not
a
the
brick
question,
wall
sir.
of the
I'm going to
bureaucracy
move
of
on.
the
I'm going
VA,
to take that
and
as a
reformers
yes.
are not.
Senator Jacky Rosen presses Pete Hegseth on two defining issues that cut to the heart of national service and national security: how America treats its veterans after they serve, and whether the United States can afford to stand alone in an increasingly dangerous world. Citing Hegseth's past remarks about veterans' benefits and his views on alliances like NATO, Rosen demands clear answers, not rhetoric, on dignity, responsibility, and America's role on the global stage.
In 2019, on a segment of Fox and Friends, you said that veteran service organizations, VSOs, I'm going to quote, encourage veterans to apply for every government benefit they can ever get after they leave the service. You stated you don't want to, quote, be dependent on government assistance from the VA based on injuries or illnesses that might have arisen from your military service. So I'm just going to ask you a few yes or no questions about veterans, understanding you don't have jurisdiction, but this is important to our morale, is important to our recruitment, and is important to our retention, and it is important to how we respect others in this country. So yes or no, please. Do you believe that VSOs are wrong to support veterans in obtaining the benefits that they have rightfully earned and deserved when they signed that line like you did for your service?
Senator,
yes or
veterans
no, please.
deserve the benefits they've earned. I have been in many battles with traditional veteran
you would
service
agree that
organizations over differences of opinion about how to deliver those services,
so yes or
including
no.
Veterans
Do you believe
Choice,
VSOs are wrong?
which is a VSOs is a very broad term. We were a VSO also, ma'am. But some of those services took a traditionally
should they be able to
bureaucratic
help
approach.
the veterans obtain the benefits that they have earned? Yes or no? Should anyone be able to help?
Every veteran should have
Fine,
rapid
thank you.
access to
Do you
all the
believe that
benefits
veterans
that they've
should be
earned.
ashamed for
Absolutely.
having sought and obtained the benefits that they have earned? Do you think veterans should be ashamed to seek out benefits?
Senator, I think
Yes or
we
no?
should be ashamed as a nation of the amount of veterans that commit
you think
suicide
veterans
because they hit a brick
should be
wall.
ashamed?
They commit suicide because
This is
they hit
not
a
the
brick
question,
wall
sir.
of the
I'm going to
bureaucracy
move
of
on.
the
I'm going to
VA,
take that
and
as a
reformers
yes.
are not courage enough.
How about veterans who suffer lasting
Take it on.
injuries or illnesses due to their military service? Do you think they deserve our support and assistance? I mean, your answers to these, they're too broad. People want to know, are you willing to support our veterans organizations that will help our veterans get every damn thing that they deserve because they signed on the dotted line to keep us safe, just like you did? I respect that. Will you?
Senator, with all due humility, I don't know that there's anyone in this room over the last 20 years that have worked harder to ensure that our veterans are taken care of. It has been a passion of my life, alongside with so many on this dais, to make sure that veterans receive, and it is a recruiting crisis.
But you said
when veterans
that veterans
are not treated
dependent
well,
on the government.
they don't
You
want
said
their
veterans are
sons and daughters
dependent
to
on the
join.
government. Do you believe that veterans getting these benefits are dependent on the government? Or do you believe it's a benefit they've earned and deserved through their service?
It's a benefit they've earned and a hand up to
But
the
these
next
are your
chapter of their
words
life.
then. So you
Absolutely.
have again changed your position. Where you believe the veterans are dependent, now you believe they've earned and deserved it. I just think it's disrespectful to change that position. These are benefits that people may need throughout their life and may not know when they need them or how they're going to need them, and they need to be there when they do. Thank you. I'm going to move on to my next question. America's role in the world. Our alliances, the threats America's facing, they're serious, they're wide-ranging, from China to Russia to Iranian-backed terrorism. So do you agree with the National Defense Strategy that the U.S. cannot compete with China, Russia, and their partners alone, and certainly cannot win a war that way? And this is a quote from the National Defense Strategy. Is your interpretation that American first foreign policy is America alone? Does that include abandoning our allies and partners such as NATO, Taiwan, Israel, and others? And if we can't win alone and we don't strengthen our strategic partnerships, I would say that position, your position, places on a strategic path to lose to our adversaries. So maybe you're okay with choosing that path for America. I want to know how you square that position with the positions you articulated in your book, where you wrote that NATO is at relic, at best a distraction, and should be scrapped and remade. Are you okay with sending us down a path where we can't win?
Senator, the world has had, our friends in the world have had no better ally. Our allies and partners have had no better friend than President Donald Trump. who's
I'm not talking
reinvigorated
about
a NATO
President
alliance,
Donald Trump.
who's
I'm
stood
talking about
behind
your
Israel
words.
in every way, in ways this administration has not. He has ensured that the NATO alliance has become far more robust. He
Donald Trump
worked
going to
with
stand
allies
behind
in the
Ukraine?
Pacific as well.
Is Donald Trump going to stand behind Ukraine? Are you going to stand behind Ukraine? You say he's the strongest president. President-elect Trump said he will end the war in Ukraine before he takes office. Okay, so less than a week before he's inaugurated, to the best of your knowledge. Do you have knowledge of a plan that he's going to use to rapidly end the war with Ukraine? Do you believe it's feasible, that it does not make unacceptable concessions to Vladimir Putin, who is a brutal dictator? And are you going to give President-elect Trump the military advice that you have given others to achieve the objective of us winning the war in Ukraine? How do you think a rapid end to the war that Vladimir Putin started will affect the United States standing across the world?
Senator, I will always give clear guidance, best guidance to the President of the United States on matters like that.
Do you think that if we concede to Vladimir Putin that will hurt our credibility with our allies and partners? And do you not believe that our adversaries are watching?
Perhaps
Senator Jacky Rosen's questioning of Pete Hegseth exposes a deeper concern that extends far beyond a single comment, interview, or book passage. What emerges from this exchange is a troubling pattern of rhetorical flexibility on issues that demand moral clarity, institutional knowledge, and long-term consistency. Veterans' benefits, international alliances, and America's credibility on the global stage are not abstract talking points. They are pillars of national security. Any wavering on these fundamentals risks consequences measured not in headlines, but in lives. At the core of Rosen's critique is the question of how a nation honors those who serve it. Veterans' benefits are not symbols of dependency. They are contractual obligations rooted in sacrifice. When service members raise their right hand, the government assumes a lifelong responsibility to care for the physical and psychological costs of that service. Veteran service organizations exist because the Department of Veterans Affairs remains one of the most complex bureaucracies in the federal system. These organizations bridge gaps the government itself has repeatedly failed to close. Casting doubt on their role risks discouraging veterans, especially those struggling silently, from seeking help at all. In a country already grappling with alarming veteran suicide rates, even rhetorical hesitation carries real-world consequences. Rosen's insistence on yes or no answers highlights why clarity matters. Veterans planning their futures need certainty, not philosophical reframing after the fact. Leaders at the highest levels of defense policy cannot afford to shift language depending on the audience or political moment. Trust, once eroded, is exceptionally difficult to restore, especially among those trained to recognize inconsistency as a warning sign. The exchange then moves into the strategic realm, where the stakes multiply. Rosen directly confronts the notion that American strength can be sustained through unilateralism. The national defense strategy is explicit. The United States cannot deter or defeat coordinated adversaries alone. China, Russia, Iran, and non-state actors increasingly operate in alignment, testing U.S. resolve across multiple theaters simultaneously. Alliances are not charity arrangements. They are force multipliers. NATO, Indo-Pacific partnerships, and security agreements amplify American power, reduce the likelihood of war, and ensure burdens are shared rather than borne alone. Rosen's focus on Ukraine underscores this reality. Russia's invasion is not a regional dispute. It is a test case for the international order. If aggression is rewarded through rushed settlements or strategic fatigue, the signal to authoritarian regimes is unmistakable. Xi Jinping, Tehran, and Pyongyang are watching not what America says, but what it tolerates. History has repeatedly shown that appeasement framed as pragmatism often invites larger, more devastating conflicts later. The concern Rosen raises is not simply whether a war ends quickly, but how it ends, and what precedent that ending sets. A peace that legitimizes conquest undermines every security guarantee the United States has made since World War II. It would weaken deterrence, fracture alliances, and place U.S. troops in greater danger in future conflicts by signaling that commitments are negotiable under pressure. Across the exchange, Rosen highlights a broader leadership issue: rapid reversals on long-held positions when accountability intensifies. While evolution in thinking is not inherently disqualifying, abrupt shifts without clear explanation raise serious questions about judgment under stress. The Secretary of Defense operates in an environment where decisions are made with incomplete information, extreme time pressure, and irreversible consequences. Consistency is not rigidity, it is reliability. Ultimately, this confrontation is about standards. Not partisan standards, but professional ones. The same military that demands discipline, preparation, and accountability from its troops must demand those qualities from its civilian leadership. Veterans deserve unwavering respect. Allies deserve predictable partnership. And the American people deserve defense leaders whose principles do not fluctuate with political convenience. Rosen's questioning makes clear that strength is not defined by rhetoric or bravado, but by the ability to uphold commitments, especially when doing so is difficult.